You're not lazy. Let's just get that out of the way right now. Because if you were lazy, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be watching this. You wouldn't be searching for answers at whatever time it is right now. Lazy people don't do that. Lazy people don't feel the guilt you feel when you close the textbook after 5 minutes. Lazy people don't lie awake thinking about everything they should have studied today. That guilt, that frustration, that's not laziness. That's a brain that wants to move but doesn't know how. And today, we're going to fix that. Because here's the thing nobody tells you about study motivation. It's not about discipline. It's not about waking up at 5 a.m. or building a perfect routine or putting motivational quotes on your wall. Those things don't work long term. And deep down, you already know that. You've tried them. We all have. Real study motivation is about something much deeper. It's about why your brain refuses to cooperate in the first place. And once you understand that, everything changes. So let's start there. Why your brain fights you. Every time you sit down to study, your brain runs a quick calculation. It asks one question: is this worth it? And not worth it in some big philosophical sense. Worth it right now. Worth the effort, the boredom, the discomfort right now. And most of the time, your brain says no, because studying feels like pain in the present with rewards somewhere far in the future. And your brain is not designed for far in the future. It's designed for right now, for survival, for the fastest path to feeling okay. That's why your phone wins every time. It's instant, it's effortless, it delivers a reward in seconds. Studying asks your brain to do the opposite. Work hard now, feel good later, maybe. Your brain is not broken. It's just doing exactly what it was built to do. But here's where it gets interesting. That same brain, the one avoiding your textbook, has pulled all-nighters for things it cared about, has spent hours obsessing over things it found meaningful, has pushed through discomfort again and again when the reason was strong enough. So motivation isn't about willpower. It's about meaning. And most students are studying without any. The fear trap. Here's the most common reason students lose motivation. They're not studying towards something. They're studying away from something. Away from failing, away from disappointing their parents, away from looking stupid, away from consequences. And fear-based motivation has one massive flaw. Once the threat feels distant enough, it disappears. That's why you're so motivated the night before an exam and completely dead 3 weeks before it. The fear fades, and when the fear goes, so does every reason to open the book. This is why the same student who crams brilliantly under pressure completely falls apart when given free time to study. It's not a focus problem, it's a meaning problem. Your brain needs a reason that doesn't expire, and fear always expires. Part 1. Build a reason that's bigger than your excuses. The first shift you need to make is this. Stop studying for other people and start studying for a version of yourself you actually want to become. I know that sounds simple, but most students have never actually done it. They've studied for grades, for parents, for teachers, for some vague idea of success that doesn't feel real or personal. Try this right now. Finish this sentence honestly. I'm doing this because I want to become someone who... Not because I have to, not because my parents said so, because you genuinely want something for your own life. A career that excites you, a skill that makes you dangerous, a version of yourself that you'd actually respect. Write it down. One sentence. Put it somewhere you'll see it before every study session. That sentence is not motivation. That sentence is a signal to your brain that this work has a destination, and destinations change everything. Your brain stops seeing studying as meaningless suffering and starts seeing it as the path to something real. Direction creates momentum, and momentum is what motivation actually feels like. Part 2. Stop making starting the enemy. Here's something most people get completely wrong about motivation. They think motivation is what gets you started. It's not. Action is what gets you started. Motivation is what comes after. Think about every time you've sat down to study and dreaded it, and then 30 minutes in, you were actually fine, maybe even in flow. That's not a coincidence. Your brain shifts once it starts. The resistance isn't about studying, it's about beginning. So stop trying to feel motivated before you open the book. That's not how it works. You open the book first. The feeling follows. But here's the problem. Your brain treats starting as a massive commitment. Study session sounds like 2 hours of suffering, and your brain says no before you even sit down. So shrink the start, embarrassingly small. Don't say, I'm going to study for 2 hours. Say, I'm going to read this one paragraph. That's the entire commitment. One paragraph. Because here's what happens. You read the paragraph, your brain realizes it's still okay, and then it shifts into might as well keep going mode every single time. Psychologists call this the Zeigenknecht effect. Your brain hates leaving things unfinished once it starts. Use that against your procrastination. Small starts aren't a compromise, they're the strategy. Part 3. Make progress visible. This is the piece most students never use, and it's the reason motivation collapses even when everything else is working. Your brain needs proof that it's moving forward. Without that proof, studying feels like running on a treadmill. You're sweating, you're exhausted, but you're not going anywhere, and eventually you step off. So make your progress impossible to ignore. Cross off pages, fill a habit tracker, keep a one-sentence journal. Just one sentence every day about what you understood today that you didn't yesterday. Screenshot the chapter you finished. Make a list of every concept you've mastered this week. This isn't just feel-good journaling. This is neurological. Every time your brain sees concrete proof of progress, it releases dopamine. And dopamine is the chemical that says, do that again. You're training your brain to associate studying with reward, not through tricks or hacks, but through real, visible evidence of growth. Motivation doesn't create momentum. Momentum creates motivation. Once your brain starts believing that studying is actually changing you, it stops fighting you. Part 4. Protect your energy, not just your time. Here's the part nobody talks about. You can have the best system in the world and still fail to study if your energy is destroyed. Most students have a time problem. They're actually not studying for 2 hours. They're sitting at a desk for 2 hours while exhausted, distracted, and mentally empty, and they wonder why nothing sticks. Your brain does its best work in short, intense, protected blocks. 25 minutes of real focus beats 3 hours of half attention. That's not an opinion. It's what the research shows consistently. So protect your best hours. Figure out when your brain is actually sharp. For most people, that's morning or early afternoon, and guard that time like it's money. No notifications, no distractions, no just checking anything. Full presence for a short window. Then rest. Actually rest. Not scrolling, not half watching something. Real downtime that lets your brain consolidate what it just learned. Rest is not the enemy of studying. It's part of studying. And sleep. If you're skipping sleep to study more, you're not studying more. You're studying worse and forgetting everything. Memory consolidation happens during sleep. Every hour you trade sleep for cramming is an hour of learning you're throwing away. The identity shift. Here's the final piece, and it's the most important one. All of this, the reasons, the small starts, the visible progress, the protected energy, only works if you start believing you're capable of being someone who does this. A lot of students carry an old story. I'm not a good student. I've always been like this. I'm just not the studying type. And they bring that story into every session. It sits on their chest while they try to work, and it wins. Your past performance is not your potential. Full stop. The students who turn it around aren't the ones who suddenly become smarter. They're the ones who replace an old story with new evidence, one small action at a time. You don't need to believe in yourself completely. You just need to take one action that contradicts the old version. One session completed, one concept truly understood, one page finished when you wanted to quit. That's where identity changes, not in a speech, not in a journal, but in the quiet proof of what you actually did. Study motivation isn't something you wait for. It's something you build, decision by decision, session by session, day by day. Connect the reason, shrink the start, make progress visible, protect your energy, collect new evidence about who you are. Do that, and motivation stops being something you chase and starts being something you carry. Subscribe if this helped. There's more every week. Now, go open the book.